Hey guys, first of all, thank you so much for watching this. We can all pretend that I'm not awkward for like 5 seconds, and I've already promised myself I'm gonna try not to talk with my hands or touch my hair. In all seriousness though, I've been wanting to start a conversation about Bell's palsy for a while now. I know that I went through this experience with Bell's palsy for a reason and for a purpose, and if nothing else, just to be able to share how I felt in hopes that maybe it'll help somebody. That's all I want, is just, even if it helps one person, then it's worth it. So if you don't know what Bell's palsy is, it is a form of facial paralysis due to your seventh cranial nerve, so the nerve that runs from your brain behind your ear, and it controls the movement in your face. For me, my right side was affected, so none of this worked. None of it. I couldn't close, I couldn't smile, couldn't taste. My hearing was intensified, like flushing a toilet made me cry. It was really bad. Don't always know what causes it. There's a couple things it can be. And some people it is stress induced. It can also be caused by the same virus that causes chickenpox or shingles and the common cold. So doctors think mostly that's what it is. So they give you antiviral medication and steroids and pretty much send you on your way because it'll heal on its own, usually. Other things that can cause facial paralysis would be like a brain tumor, and if there's pressure pushing on that nerve from the tumor, then you can have facial paralysis. So that's why they do a CAT scan, and lucky for me, that wasn't the problem. Don't really know what caused mine, but kind of thinking it was the virus. So people have asked me before, did I have any symptoms, or was it just like I woke up one day and was paralyzed? And truthfully, it was a little bit of both. I had been experiencing some really bad headaches and just like overall soreness and feeling kind of sluggish. But because it happened in October, October 30th to be exact, the day before Halloween, creepy. Because of the time of year it was, I am very in tune with the weather and things like that. I know that probably sounds weird to some of you, but if you deal with seasonal depression, you'll know what I'm talking about. It was getting darker earlier, and there was a chill in the air, and I thought I was just kind of experiencing the beginning of a seasonal depression time for me. Yes and no. It was unexpected, but also, yes, there were symptoms. So when I woke up the day it all went down, I went to drink my coffee, and I noticed that the coffee was like dripping down my face. And again, like, I'm not awake until I've had coffee. Like, I'm not even alive. So I thought I was just tired. It wasn't until I looked in the mirror and I started trying to do my makeup, and I noticed just something was off, and I went to smile and none of this worked. So I was like, duh. I'm sure you guys see pictures. I'll include some, or a link to it or something. But yeah, so I looked in the mirror and it didn't work, and I instantly just went into panic mode. Like, my body, everything around me was blurry, and time just stopped. Like, have you ever been so angry that you see red? Well, that's kind of what happened to me, except everything was just like a blur. Like, I instantly, my body went into panic mode. It was just like sheer terror. Like, I knew something was wrong. I knew something bad was happening. At the time, I thought I was either having a stroke or like a severe allergic reaction. Go to the ER. After they run all the tests and everything, my doctor walks in and says, "Smile for me." I smile. He says, "Congrats, you have Bell's palsy. Here's your medicine," and referred me to an ENT, and was just like, "Good luck." And so, like, I left there feeling so relieved that it wasn't a brain tumor, relieved that I wasn't having a stroke, all these terrible things that it could have been, for a 27-year-old, like, healthy person, and I was told it'll probably heal on its own, you just kind of have to wait. If you know me, you know, one, I'm pretty controlling, and two, I'm very impatient. And I'm vain, which I'll address the fact that I don't have makeup on so that you guys can actually see some of my side effects. I'll show you in a little while. But that's really hard for me because we live in a very filtered world. Let's be real. Anyway, so I was sent off with those instructions, just like, wait it out. And so I was so grateful, but then I was so scared because I was like, I might not ever heal from this. What am I gonna do? What am I supposed to do? Just continue living my life with half of a face? What? How is that logical, I just felt like a prisoner in my own body. It was just a lot. I have such a greater respect for people who have disabilities. Like, no matter how big or small, like, just learning how to live differently is hard. So naturally I start Googling things and searching hashtags and like trying to find any kind of answer. And I found an awesome support group, which I'll put a link to. It's on Facebook. And it just felt so good to know that there were other people going through the same things as me, and just like the emotional roller coaster that came along with it. I had an awesome support system. I had friends who offered to help. I had family who wanted to like rush to my side. But it was one of those situations where it's like, I felt helpless because they wanted to be there for me, and they kept saying like, what can I do? And they were showering me with like all this love and prayer and thoughts and just everything. Like, I'm eternally grateful for that. But it also made me feel terrible because I didn't even know what would make me feel better. I had no idea. I had no answers. I was left in the dark. And so having that support system, that world of people who had been through it before, who were going through it, who had advice and just would listen to you vent, like they knew, they understood. And that's something, if you are finding me because you were recently diagnosed, please know that I get it. I had some of the darkest days of my entire life. On top of feeling ugly, I was in pain. And so I just want to let you know, I get it. And it was such a dark time in my life, and just filled with uncertainty and filled with fear and rejection. And I've never had people look at me the way that they did. You don't realize how much you use your face, like your mannerisms, and how you communicate with people. Even to this day, I still can feel my face not responding the way it used to, and it makes me sad. Because have you ever been told to smile until you're happy, like fake it till you make it kind of thing? Just smile until you believe it. That's very true, because when you can't smile, when your face is broken, you can't express happiness, you can't express joy. When you laugh, you feel like a freak. Like, it just, all of that was taken from me. And I'll never forget that feeling. So again, like, I know what you're going through. And looking back on it, it is very humbling, because I have always been hypercritical of myself. Whether it be, my hair, my makeup, my teeth, my body, like, just a lot of different things. And so to have that just like taken from me, like, oh yeah, well, you're worried about something small on your face, well, it's gone now, so you won't feel that way again. Well, guess what? I do still feel that way, but I have to catch myself, because it's like, I know what it's like for it to be taken away. You don't know what you've got till it's gone. So, that's kind of my experience with it, and I'm going to show you guys my syncnesis, which is when your nerve is damaged like that, it can come back and fire differently. So, for instance, this part never really came back. So as you can see, my lip and smile is different. With the syncnesis, whenever I touch this part like this eye will close. And that's really common. A lot of people, when they're eating, their eye will water uncontrollably on their affected side. And it's just kind of like a phenomenon. Again, like, doctors don't really study Bell's palsy a lot, because it's usually cured, and there's not much you can really do besides, a lot of people get Botox. Like how my lips are uneven, people have said, like, oh, you can just get injections or whatnot. Same thing with my forehead. So you see this side, how much it wrinkles, and this side never really, I mean, it came back. Yeah, I have wrinkles, but not the same. My eyebrow is more arched. My eye, sometimes it's extremely slow to blink. The other thing is, I've had terrible acne just on this side of my face. I can't understand why, but it is the way it is. And again, like, these are all really hypercritical things that I'm just grateful that I can smile again, and that, yeah, my face is a little lopsided, but it can always be worse. So that is kind of from the beginning to end of my experience with it. And I would never wish it upon anyone, because it messes with your head. You just feel helpless. You feel grateful that you're alive, but you feel helpless that you're not yourself. And so I want to let you know, or I want to challenge you, that if there's something in your life that you're being critical of yourself, something that you cannot change, be grateful, because those things can be taken away, just like your life can be taken away. Just know that there's somebody that wishes that they were at the place you are. I found these stories of people who had Bell's palsy, and they were like, well, I'm about 75% healed, and they seemed bummed about it. And to me, whenever I kept going to my doctor 2 weeks in, a month in, a month and a half in, and he saw no improvement and said this was a severe case, I was hoping that I would even get half of my motion back. So just like, it's all about your perspective and your positivity about it. I still get in that Facebook group and write stuff. I still try to help however I can. I still ask questions. Hey, does anyone else face still break out a year and a half after having Bell's palsy? It's okay to share the things that bother you, or the things that make you who you are. And I just want to remind people that. That's why I always say start a conversation, because chances are somebody else has either gone through it or felt the same way that you do. So thank you guys for listening. I know this is a really long video, but I hope that this at least gets to somebody, and you see that it does get better. You're not going to feel the way that you do forever, and I promise you it can always be worse. So appreciate what you have and be hopeful. Don't lose faith that things can turn around. People do love you, and it'll be okay.